When you die, and you have the first-hand experience of it, it is not almost at all what your mind could have imagined simply by watching other people die.
All right.
Okay? The mind doesn't have the imagination to account for what goes on when other people die. So we significantly have a great deal of fear of dying because we don't actually know what we're to expect. Okay?
Yeah.
When you know what to expect, all of a sudden dying reimagines itself. It's a completely different story. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
It's literally when you die, you get to a place where you see your body, you see your life, as much of it as you want. You have no limitations. You have no mind to provide a limitation. You have your higher mind. Your higher mind is that mind and ego that stands to define your human experience, okay? Your soul has a lot of human experiences and non-human experiences. Animals, aliens, what have you. But you have a higher mind that is like your identity as you've chosen your body and, you know, your name and everything. So your higher self is like yourself even before you've got a body set up, right?
Yeah.
It's like saying, I'm going to play a video game, and the character in my video game is Indiana Jones or something. I'm playing an Indiana Jones game. I'm not even playing the game yet, but I know I'm going to be playing Indiana Jones. And when you're playing Indiana Jones, that's like your body. Okay?
Yeah.
That's how you explore the space, the video game space that's been created. So,
very cool.
When you're out of body, to that degree, where you say, well, my body got totaled by a semi, you know, there's not a whole lot of, you know, let me just start breathing again and I'll take it from there. As you can imagine, maybe happens in a hospital bed. But what happens is you say, well, now that I'm separate from my mind's understanding of how things create, I can change any equation. I can say, blip, I'm going to move to a reality where that semi just never existed. It never came into existence, and my crossing the road, the semi never comes into contact with me. And you literally say, in order to do that, I don't need to, like, erase the person from history, you know? I don't need to change the world to that degree. I can just say, you know, a chain effect of things. This guy's late for dinner and he ends up eating dinner out or something, and he's just not in the same place. But when you start to see how everything is interwoven, you may go back and you get to this point that's like 5 seconds before you get eliminated because you're perfectly healthy and fine. That's a good place to go back to before the semi shows up. And guess what? You get hit by a car instead. You're like, oh, come on, I got rid of this semi. Now what do I got to do? Because you go back and you say, now I can see everything. Oh, I didn't account that the car was actually going to take the place of the semi because that car has been trying to pass the semi the whole time because he's actually rushing. So you say, well, I'm going to make it so that this driver doesn't have an issue, and now you change the timelines again, and you go back, and lo and behold, you get hit by the valve. You're like, you know, where does it end? And you start to look around, you say, or you start to find out from a broader perspective because your guides are there with you. That's the great part, is your guides and those that have been engaging you from a non-physical place, they're all there. They're all like, hey, you know, it can be Jesus if that's who you've agreed to make an arrangement with. And he says, you know what, you're missing the point. You have to go back a little bit further, maybe a couple days, and start to realize that you're getting hit by a car because you're supposed to get hit by a car because you kept focusing on getting hit by a car. You got to get hit by something because you literally said you're too afraid of getting hit by a car, so you got to get hit by a car. It's like, oh shoot. Okay, well, I got to do a little bit more unraveling than just, you know, a 5-second rewind. So you actually go back further sometimes, and you bounce around, and many people die a lot of times in their life. Not because it's like, you know, super significant, but because they take life, they live life to the fullest. They're always like stretching the parameters of, can I get away with this? And they do it in their greatest excitement. So many people die who are, we'll call adrenaline junkies. Okay? They do die. And the great part is they find ways of doing it so that they don't die. They find vibrations that they can enjoy their excitement without succumbing to a heart attack from their experiments. Right? A heart attack is simply saying, whoa, my body cannot process enough oxygen to my brain to solve my way out of this. There's not enough adrenaline in my body to solve my way through this equation. So a heart attack kicks you out of the body, kicks you out of your vehicle and says, all right, you're going to have to try a different approach. And just like in the movie Groundhog Day, what is the thing that gets you out of the escape vector? What gets him out of repeating his life over and over and over again as a curmudgeon? Doing right, doing good, feeling good about oneself. This is how you never die, or never even need to try dying, is you feel good about yourself, because that is what is called a low entropy experience. Entropy is another way of describing energy degradation. Okay, potential, having great potential, is anti-entropy. Entropy is when we talk about a mountain that gets worn down by the rains and everything. We call it just wearing it down.
Yeah. Okay.
So you can take the most healthiest baby, but if you give it enough of an experience of terrible hell and negativity, say the parents are yelling at each other all the time, there's horror movies that are scaring people in the next room all the time, there's just all hell is all around, you're asking that baby to say, hey, you're asking me to be extremely courageous, to walk through all these energies that I can feel, but you don't know that I can feel. Because I'm very sensitive, very open to a lot that's going around, and you're asking me to take on these things and say, forget it, I'm dying, I'm leaving. This is not fun anymore, and basically all my potential is squelched even before I got to the age of 5. Okay?
Okay.
So when we look at other people dying now, this is the other piece of the equation, because people are dying. There's no doubt about it. Other people leave our lives,
Mm-hmm.
And we're, oh my God, I really didn't want that person to die. That is a crying shame, Goodness gracious me, why did we have to lose Michael Jackson or something?
Mm-hmm.
So, or why does somebody have to suicide? And why do I feel like, God, what a waste of life, It's because, really, everybody has their own life experience. Now, just like it's pretty hard to track when you die and come back and choose a slightly different timeline, it's nearly impossible to track everyone else's. That's like saying, I would like everybody to keep a journal about what they're thinking about and doing every 5 seconds all the time. And that way, I could foresee what I should expect of you in your life and what you're going through. Well, we really don't care about that. That's just not important to us. On one level, you say, when you first have a child, you absolutely want to know every little thing that it's learning. You want to be a part of that journey again.
Yeah.
That joy that it has. But your grandparents, no, most people don't want to move in with their grandparents and figure out, whatever they're thinking about all day, because it's like beyond your curiosity. It no longer has excitement behind it, So there's a place where literally what other people are doing is a reflection of you. They're like a mirror, a small facet that describes your vibration. And when people die, it's almost like, take another look at yourself. You didn't die, but your best friend died. And what was it that your best friend was all about that you never accepted? And it's kind of like saying your friend broke up with you. Only in this case, you didn't want to break up because you thought breaking up was bad. Well, shoot, he had to go kill himself because you couldn't have a wonderful breakup scenario. You had to go, do something odd. And sometimes our friends or people that we care about, they do things because we never would. And they do something and explore something so that you get to look at some of your inner fears and take a look at those fears a little more closely and start to ask yourself why you have those fears and if you still need them. When you get to a point where you say, I don't want that fear, sure, that's a good step in the right direction of trying to abolish the fears. But if you actually don't believe that you own the fear and its purpose for coming in, then you're just going to keep chasing the cat by the tail. You've got to find a way where a fear only is illuminated by your higher self's insight and your higher self's awareness of what's really going on, right? When you look at a video game and say Mario Brothers, and you say, I got to jump over this pipe, but there's a piranha plant coming out of it, you say, well, gosh, I don't think I can do this. I'm not skilled enough for this. I'm not ready for this. And in many ways, you watch your friend try to jump the piranha plant and get eaten by it. You say, oh my God. It's like, well, whatever your friend was doing, you're just not that interested in doing that. You're not interested in following his path there. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So when people that are close to us, or things that are very meaningful to us, like people dying, the people that have come to peace with it are usually the ones that have determined that they've gotten something out of that experience. Every negativity has a lesson within it. Not just because I just want to learn how to get away from negativity, but true oneness is found beyond the obstacles that you've asked for yourself. And sometimes it comes down to just saying, why have I asked for this? Where did I get this from? Am I just repeating my parents' mistakes? And you may not know that. And once you know it, oh, well, shoot, I don't need to repeat the mistakes anymore because now I know I just need to stop acting like my parents did. And then you still get the problem. You say, wait a second. But I already said I'm not going to act like my parents. But you don't really know everything that you're doing in repetition like your parents. So now it becomes a journey of, well, I guess I didn't really know what my parents were and what and what worked for them and what didn't. And so you find this journey. It always keeps going deeper and consistently the rhythm of finding yourself, going deeper and deeper, is always finding yourself. It's finding your inner personality, your greater personality. Oftentimes your greater personality is observed in your childhood and your young years because there was not so many obstacles. You agreed to obstacles as you went along and you boxed yourself in more and more and more. So in many ways, living a lighter vibrational life is living a life with a whole lot less beliefs. Or a whole lot less beliefs that don't make you excited. So that's what that whole going into the dark night of the soul is, saying, let me figure out what this is really all going, why this is in my vibration, why this is even existing, okay? Because all existence exists. All is possible, all is existing, all dimensions, all possibilities, they're fundamentally all there, and all you're doing is swimming through the soup from one to the next and focusing on different areas of life that draw you to realities that include more of that area of life that you focused on. You want the nice house? Focus on nice houses. You want the nice house and not have to pay for it? Focus on nice houses without thinking about how much they cost. Then you'll find yourself vibrating in a place, hey, I'm in a nice house, kind of like what I kind of liked about all the other ones I liked. You see? And that's creation 101. I mean, but it gets into as complicated as you want to make it. And since most of our minds as adults are trained to think about all sorts of things and not give up on thinking. Like, none of us just approach life as a meditative Buddha, we're bound to consider things here and there and see how we feel in all those considerations, and we can navigate a little bit more clearly, navigate with a little bit more sense as to what we're doing. And, on another level, some people, all they do is they just come up with a good rule of thumb and say, I'm a, glass half full kind of guy. And as long as I'm treating everything like a glass half full kind of guy, I'm bound to have a glass half full more than a glass half empty type of experience. Vibrationally, things will be more full.
Yeah.
And that's basically what I am. I'm a glass half full kind of guy. I'm not saying it's full to the brim. There's lots of room to explore how full I can believe it can become. And I'll do that. And I'll step forward in my excitement. But I'm not about to fill it with anything I'm not interested in, because I can feel early before I pour it in what it's like. And so I'm kind of a slow to make change kind of person.
Mm-hmm.
I like analyzing things before I fill my glass. And some people, their excitement is in, wowee, I'm going to try everything that can go into a cup. Anything that can fit in a glass, I'm going to try it.
So it's
until you come up with, I'm going to come up with a couple more preferences. Like urine, I didn't think that was going to show up. But now that that's come up, now I'm going to make a decision to take a left turn on the opportunities to try other kinds of urine. I'm going to stick to the things that are a bit more exciting to me. It was fine the first time. Done with it. I don't have to focus on the fact that only urine belongs in this glass. And that's it. You get to a place where you investigate the reasons for why, and when you get to the point where you're really sort of peaceful with the solution, right? Mm-hmm. That there's no judgment, there's no right and wrong, you're beyond right and wrong. You've gone down, the debate jungle until you come to a place where the right and wrong is a non-factor, really. And in the wholeness of considering both ends of the experience, the right and the wrong, you find a oneness, right? And you're ready for the oneness. Many people, they don't hold the state of mind where they're ready for a oneness. They're always looking for a scapegoat or something.
Yeah.
When you're ready to oneness, then it's like, I'm not willing to let go of this argument until we're all satisfied. That sort of feel. Where everybody wins. Not letting go of this until everybody wins. And that's the place where you find the oneness. You find out how everybody wins. You find that silver lining where all choices matter and reflect a value of exploration. And everybody owns their own exploration. When we judge each other's exploration, that's just saying, I don't want to explore that. Don't make me explore that. That's all it's saying. Everything that anybody else brings to you or anything that shows up in your reality is really just an invitation if you want to do that more. When you go to a restaurant, it would be asinine to say, you're sitting down, you must buy something off the menu, and you can't leave here until you did. That's asinine. That's not how reality works. You can just leave and say, I'm not going to eat. And you say, well, I'm going to be hungry, maybe on one level, but I don't need to accept this.
Yeah,
many
right.
people are doing the government right now,
Mm-hmm.
and many things. And it's for them to play that out, see how far they're going to go before they start thinking they should probably eat something soon without criticizing everything, and start changing their mind as to everything is crap. Everything is GMO danger, and, there's nothing out there to live for. There's a point where you say, actually, there's got to be something to live for. Start veering in that direction. And so that silver lining sort of approach is anti-entropy, which literally says potential begets potential, and an attitude of potential begets more reasons to have an attitude of potential. That's it. Simple as it gets. An attitude of non-potential is saying you have less energy to explore that. When you follow your potential over and over and over again, your excitement, you know you have energy coursing through you as you do this. You know when you explore all dead ends, things you don't want to do, more and more and more, you start getting sick. You just start making excuses to cover for why you're doing it because you don't even know why you're doing it. All these things that make you not feel good in your actions and in your mind, in your heart. And so then many people, they say, I'm going to do a whole bunch of things I don't like to do, but as long as I got a wonderful wife and children, that's great. And that works. Because then you won't die. Dying is actually more a result of seeing no more options to move forward with. That's when you die, when you run out of ideas to explore. Pleiadians implicitly said, you don't have to die if you keep have ideas of what you want to explore. No need to die. You get to try that out. So, okay. I go and experience a Cloud 9. And Cloud 9 are all these individuals that are like ascended masters, but also star seeds and awakening people. And they basically show up together on pivotal dates in mass. They show up all the time. But on pivotal dates, we'll call, astrologically, energetically powerful dates. They all show up together and they compare notes and they give ideas. And they share good ideas as to how they can help other people be more awake and be more creator and be more explorer, allower. And they share these tidbits. And this allows us to share our messages. And they come back, they're rejuvenated, they're fully rejuvenated with this new, I've got a great new way of sharing how reality is really a great thing. Has happened for me. And many people go there, but they find that the knowledge of the Cloud 9 sort of makes them way too vibrationally out of sync with the world that they're living. So if they have a Cloud 9, they come back and they say, I can't talk with anybody I know because I'm way too different a person. And that's not the purpose.
Okay.
The purpose being, as a being that is descended from a Cloud 9 place of awareness, is you want people to be able to relate to you. And you want to be able to relate to people. Now, whether you talk with people or you just watch people and have your own inner blessings for them and inner guidance that you share in your own mind, as you vibrate yourself, remember they will vibrate, okay? As you change yourself, they change. There's this place where remembering that you had a Cloud 9 means, oh great, all I gotta do is shoot myself and I can go there. I can quit any day I want. But the human survival mechanism says, don't die, don't die, don't die, don't die. But this idea of running away from a saber-toothed tiger is not the reason that we need to follow our adrenaline and our when our heart rate is up. That is simply to pump more oxygen to the brain so we can enjoy at a higher time-lapse experience. More oxygen to the brain allows you to slow down time because you can consider more thoughts in a shorter span of time. Adrenaline is an extreme version of that, as you're aware. Different things like alcohol and substances adjust the pace of the mind to give you a different outward look at things because you see it differently when time is sped up and slowed down. But, so I meet these fellows up there blowing me away, and I realize that I have a lot of characteristics of them because I've met them over and over in my life. And they've given me inspirational ideas and beliefs and systems, and they begin to become part of my DNA. That's the crazy part. My DNA adjusts to make sure that their archetype-like personalities are alive in me. And these are people that a lot of people know about, including King Arthur. King Arthur, the archetype of who he became when he moved on past the physical life, he was a druid. He was a druid king. You know, you'd say basically a pagan king of a sort. But the druids were kind of like Judge Dredd in a way. They basically resolved all problems on the spot. And everybody went to them as if they were a judge, and they helped people sort things out. Now, they didn't kill people, and they didn't, you know, sentence people or anything, but they helped people get the insight that they needed when any two people had an issue to resolve. That's what King Arthur grew up through Merlin. He learned for, you know, how to approach life in a problem-solving and creating way, the way the Druids did, which Merlin was, an arch-druid. And so the lessons and the experiences have been with me my whole life. I just never realized that I was acting upon them. And until recently, I could completely identify with being him myself. Like I said, his DNA was so ready to touch, I could literally speak for him in many ways and speak his wisdom in a place and time. This occurred also as I shifted in DNA to that of Pleiadian. I could speak for Pleiadians because I knew what they were like. I was like them, really, becoming much, much like them. Now, on many subjects, I didn't open my mouth because I realized, wow, this is really going to stick across many people's idea of how things work. So I'm not here to teach as a Pleiadian either.
Right.
I'm here to be myself. And I'm here to let people know that the limits of human experience, we're just touching the tip of the iceberg, really.
Yes,
and
sure.
Just so much potential and growth to explore, especially when death and fear need not be part of our experience. Trust me, when you die, you really don't mind jumping back in. You've basically given up everything that really pissed you off because it doesn't piss you off from there. Things that piss you off is a disconnect in your own human mind. But your higher mind doesn't actually have those issues. That's why your higher mind doesn't mind setting you up and putting you in an elevator that gets stuck with, you know, maybe the crummiest individuals that you're supposed to face. Because in facing them, you get to where you want to be, which is not afraid of them. And if you're not afraid of them, you fundamentally have more freedom to go about and explore your life.